Are you stuck asking sales questions that take your prospects round in circles? Perhaps your prospects mention issues, but they're vague, they're surface level problems, they don't reveal the real challenges that they're facing. Well, there's a goldmine of valuable information hidden just beneath that surface, and the key to unlocking it lies in asking the right questions. This video is going to equip you with 5 powerful sales questions designed to cut through all of the fluff and uncover your buyer's real pain points. And by getting to the root of your buyer's problems, you can finally offer solutions that truly resonate and get deals done. So there are 4 areas where these key buyer pains often appear. And once we understand where the buyer's pain likely lives, we can then attack it with our questions. So let's look at these 4 key pains. First, we have financial pains, and these pains often manifest themselves in statements like, well, revenue is up, but profits are down. Or we lack financial transparency on the decision-making process. We don't know really how it works. Then we have people pains. Phrases like low team morale or employee turnover to competitors. These can signal issues with people. Then we have productivity pains. So look for clues like missed deadlines or excessive meetings hindering getting anything done. And finally, we have process pains. These are often brought up in statements like, well, got an inefficient hiring process, or we're overwhelmed in the customer service department. And all of the questions in this video are designed to get a few layers deeper to get to the real pain, the real thing out of these 4 different categories of pains that if you can solve it, the buyer will be absolutely gagging to do business with you. So here's the first question to unlocking your buyer's deepest pains. What's the main thing holding your company or your division back from growing right now? And this might seem like a basic question, but trust me, a goldmine of value for your sales process can come from this. It forces your prospect to get specific. Did they groan about stagnating sales? Well, that could be a symptom of financial pain and that we're not generating enough revenue to our targets. Or maybe they mumbled something about disengaged employees. And that hints at a people pain. Perhaps they're struggling to keep and retain the top talent in the organization. And here's the magic. This question acts like a shovel. You're going to start digging beneath those surface level complaints to expose the root of the problem. It not only unearths the pain point, financial, people, productivity, or process, but it also sets the stage for even more powerful questions later on. Think of it like this, right? You're a consultant. You're not a salesperson. You're diagnosing a buyer's woes, their problems, rather than getting your sales pitch and trying to shove it down their neck. This question is a diagnostic tool. It gives you a glimpse into the bigger picture. And we're going to get even more targeted later on. But for now, master what's holding you back and watch these hidden challenges come flooding to the surface when you engage with your buyers. This is just the first in a series of steps from turning you from pesky salesperson into a trusted advisor that your buyers want to work with, that they can't refuse to answer the questions of. And stay tuned, because in the final step, we're going to get super practical with our questions and we're going to get to the very bottom of the pain that the buyer is in. Okay, all right, Sales Nation, you've identified the prospect's main pain point using question number 1. Now let's get even more intel. Here is your second secret weapon. I want you to ask, how do you plan to solve this? And this might seem obvious, but this can lead to a goldmine of information. Here is why. You're going to highlight how educated the buyer is. So for uneducated buyers, they're likely to shrug and they're going to say, I'm not sure. And this is your chance to shine. You get to educate the buyer on how awesome your specific product and service is to solve the specific problem. Remember, you're a consultant. You're not a pushy salesperson here. You're trying to offer a remedy for a pain rather than trying to sell a product to a punter. Alternatively, this question might identify that you have an educated buyer. Maybe they've got some ideas, especially if they're further along the sales process. Maybe they've already spoke to a couple of your competitors. But there's obviously a reason they haven't pulled the trigger and started to solve this problem for themselves just quite yet. So this question uncovers the roadblock that might be holding them back. And here is the magic of this question. By understanding the buyer's current plan, or lack thereof of a plan, you can tailor your approach to the next step. Because maybe they think they've got a solution, but it's flawed or it's incomplete. Maybe they're simply overwhelmed. They've got 15 different options on the table that could help them, but they just don't know where to start. Either way, you've now got the key information to unlocking the real value that you can offer to the buyer. You can ask them, okay, so how do you plan to solve this? And as you do so, and you might even do it with that tonality of, hey, how do you plan to solve this? And when you ask this question, you're going to uncover the why not? Why haven't they got started? What is the bottleneck to the inaction? And this sets the stage for question number 3, where we're going to use all that information to our advantage. Now, we've exposed the pain points and we've identified why they haven't solved this problem or the lack of a solution in the first two questions. But here is the $1 million question. I want you to ask, what is your deadline to solve this problem? And again, this might seem very simple and basic, but this will tell you everything. If they shrug and they go, well, there's not really a deadline, that is a massive red flag for you as a B2B sales professional. It means that the buyer's pain isn't urgent enough for them to prioritize fixing the issue. They're not ready to buy, and trust me, if you're going to be chasing these leads, you're going to waste so much time over the course of the next quarter, year, and obviously over your entire selling career. However, if they give you a specific date or a time frame, that is gold. It shows that they're actively seeking a solution. It means that they are highly qualified as a potential customer. This is someone who is worth your time and effort to prospect further. And here is the key. A deadline tells you two things. First, it reveals the urgency of the buyer's problem. Second, it hints at the buyer's budget and the fact that they can probably make the decision to pull the trigger to get the deal done themselves. After all, solving a big problem by a tight deadline requires some resources, the ability to make decisions, and of course, budget as well. During a recent Salesman.com podcast, Tom Searcy pointed this out to me.
Time is the measure between truth and false hopes. So urgency dictates whether or not it's a real deal.
We're going to tackle budget and authority and confirm all that next. But remember, deadlines are your friends. They expose urgency and potential buying power, making your path to closing the deal way clearer and easier as well. Right, at this point, we've pinpointed the buyer's pain points, we've exposed their lack of a solution, and we've identified the deadline. But hold on. Of course, there's one final crucial piece missing in the sales puzzle. The power struggle happening maybe even above their head. And so there's one more question that we need to ask. And this question might seem like a casual inquiry, but there's so much you might learn from it. And you might phrase this differently depending on your own emotional intelligence and the person that you're sat in front of. But essentially, we're going to ask the question, what does your boss think about this project? This is so valuable because sometimes the person that you're speaking to might not actually be the final decision maker. They might be stuck in the fact that they need approval from their manager or a budget green light. And imagine this, they tell you their boss is breathing down their neck to get this problem fixed. That is it, that is the winner. Bingo, that signals that likely they've got the budget, they've got the authority from their boss is pressuring them into a solution here. And because they're speaking to you, they're actively trying to solve this problem. This translates to a highly qualified deal, a motivated buyer, and something that you should absolutely spend more time right now getting the deal over the line. But what if they say their boss isn't on their case? This could mean a long, drawn-out sales cycle. You are dealing with, essentially, most times, 9 times out of 10 here, the end user. They've got a problem, they want it solving. The boss up here in this ivory tower does not care. They do not give a shit about this. So it doesn't matter how motivated this person is, how much your product solves this buyer's solution, if the final decision maker is not on their case to get this solved, they probably don't care. It's going to be difficult to get the deal over the line. So here's the takeaway. This question cuts through all of the fluff and reveals the true level of urgency and decision-making power of the individual that we're speaking to. And that information is absolutely priceless if you're dealing with a complex, long deal cycle or extremely expensive B2B product or service. So we're almost there. We've peeled back the layers, we've exposed the pain points, the lack of a solution, the deadline looming over them, hopefully. And if this individual is the final decision maker or if their boss is a positive or negative factor to the deal. But there's one final question that you need to ask to truly ignite that buying fire in the prospect. And that is, and it's dead simple, and I ask this all of the time, it dramatically reduces and shrinks deal cycle lengths. It gets people to prioritize working with you over someone else. The question is dead simple. Ask the question, what's stopping you from solving this today? Now, this might seem very basic, but it is a game changer. Because you see, all of these previous questions were about the future. Deadlines, boss approval, hypothetical solutions. Now we're dragging this prospect back into the present moment. What is the actual roadblock from preventing them from fixing the issue right now? Not next month, next quarter, today. And this question is going to intensify their pain. It's going to force them to confront the immediate consequences of not taking action. Maybe they do lack resources, or they're overwhelmed by other priorities, or they just don't know where to start. By understanding what that specific roadblock is from stopping them signing the contract and solving this big painful problem today, you can now tailor your approach for the rest of that meeting, the next meeting, and the entirety of the sales process moving forward. You can offer solutions that address the specific challenges, or turn your product or service into the missing piece of the puzzle. Imagine this, let's say they go, okay, honestly, I'd love to get started here, but I'm drowning in tasks and I've not got time to implement your solution. It sounds fantastic. Well, that should be music to your ears. You can showcase how easy it is to get started with your service, integrate it into their workflow, however it is, software, tools, hardware, product, advice, consulting, and then that is going to immediately minimize their workload. This question qualifies your leads. It separates people who are genuinely motivated to solve their problems. And when you explain, yeah, we can get this sorted this afternoon, or we can get this implemented next week, and they go, okay, great, fantastic, let's move forward. This massively qualifies those individuals and separates them from those individuals that are just kicking tires, that would like to think that they will solve this problem in the future, but who may never will. When you have a buyer who's capable of identifying a clear roadblock, you have got someone then who is capable of taking action. So that's it for the 5 golden questions to unlock buyer pain points. And these questions routinely over and over will take you from an order taker to a trusted advisor. And if you want to continue making selling simple, why not click the video that's on the screen right now?